Hello, welcome to Airing It Out. I'm Josh.
And I'm Jonas.
This is Jerry, and today we're going to be talking about epic adventure movies.
Epic, yeah. We thought about doing swords and sandals,
Yeah,
but
that quickly got cast away when we realised that none of the people in the movies were wearing sandals.
none of them, literally.
So, the films that we watched for this were Troy,
Yes,
Kingdom of Heaven, the director's cut.
the director's cut.
But we did look at the difference between the director's and the theatrical, because I have seen the theatrical myself.
Ooh.
And then we were going to watch Gladiator, but then we decided to watch
We have
Arn
seen it,
the
so...
Knight Templar instead. We have seen Gladiator already. So we watched Arn the Knight Templar, which is a Swedish movie, and we watched Samurai Marathon, which has just come out, just to give it a little bit of a different edge, so that we're not always talking about the Crusades.
Yes.
So they're the films that we watched for this, and then we have seen stuff like Gladiator,
Yeah.
300,
Yeah.
302, I don't know.
I haven't seen 300 the second one.
Yeah.
What is that? Rise of
Rise
Empire?
of Empire or something, yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine.
That's what I figured.
Um,
It's probably not a whole lot better than 300.
It's definitely not better.
Okay.
No. Yes, so we thought we'd give our insight as to what these films do good and what they do not so good.
Yeah.
And yeah, just chat about them. All of the films that we watched, of course, are available online for your viewing pleasure.
Yeah.
Because we're cheap and we're not going to pay for a movie, so neither should you.
I mean, we are paying for them. That's the whole part. We are paying for the streaming sites, but we're not going to pay extra.
Well, I think the thing is, though, is especially like older films. Like, I totally get like when Amazon have just released like The Gentleman and
oh yeah, lots
a
of
bunch of other films that we were like, or like Joker, for like a tenner, and I'm like, you know what,
oh yes,
that makes sense. You know, they're brand new, they're not available on any streaming sites. But when a film's like 20 years old and it's been on Netflix for a bit and then come off, and then the purchasing price is still like £12, it's like,
yeah,
come on, you know?
Yeah. That's the price of going to see it in cinemas. When it's released, you're like, it's not the same experience as seeing it in a cinema.
Yeah, it's interesting the price, like the rent prices go down, but to actually own the film is always the same price, which I think is interesting, so I definitely expect.
And sometimes owning the film isn't actually like, it doesn't make a difference, like you're just going to watch it on TV, you can't like download it so you have it locally and get it on your
Well, briefly,
PC or
iTunes got sued for that because they took films off the iTunes store, but in doing so removed it from everyone's library that bought it.
Oh.
And of course people that know it's complained profusely.
Oh yeah.
Because they bought it and they're like, oh no, we reserve the right to remove things from the library if we take them off the store, which is...
Oh.
But they lost a lot of money doing that.
Yeah.
So...
That's fair enough.
But no, I think that it's also is a thing for... Like, obviously, everyone's stuck in quarantine. It's nice to be able to recommend films that are easily accessible to everyone.
Yes.
So that we did watch them all on Netflix or Prime. I think we're the two.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I think we should start with Troy, because it's set the furthest in the past.
In the past, that is true.
It's probably the one that most people have seen as well.
Yeah,
so
probably.
Brad Pitt, Orlando Bloom.
All the good stuff.
Yeah, a lot of... Actually, that's the first thing that stood out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, A-list actors that seem very out of place.
That's true. Or, like, I don't know, watching these films, there's so many people that are, like, in Game of Thrones where I'm like... I thought you, like, had never been in films before. I've never seen you in a film before, but then you just like appear as a dude. As a dude.
A lot of people from Lord of the Rings as well. It seemed like after Lord of the Rings, everyone in this genre was just like, let's hire them all again.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Because these films all tend to come out in the mid-2000s.
It makes sense. Like if they are riding a wave of popularity, then they're surely going to get cast, and like yes, they will get people to watch it in cinemas. It's just very smart marketing.
For sure. But you hadn't seen Troy before.
I have not. Yeah, that was my first time.
What did you think?
I know it's good. I mean, it's very like there are very cheesy things about it, but I don't know. I kind of viewed it as we are watching a Greek play, like a Greek tragedy and a story like that. And that's why so many things made sense, where they have like the conflict and they have like scenes where they just like chat about their their conflicts and...
Let's talk about your feelings.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was good. It is a well-rounded story, just like it makes sense. Yeah. They all characters have some motivation that is absolutely sensible for them, you know, and that's kind of all I need, because then I'm not watching the film thinking, oh my god, they're all dumb. Everything they do is out of place, you know, everything
even
is
when they
in
make
place.
a stupid decision, it makes sense for that character.
Yeah. So like I can get on board with everything they do. And I do like that you on both sides have good and bad guys, you know. So you have the conflict between the Trojans and the rest of Greece. And they're neither of them is like, neither of the sides is like good and bad.
Yeah. No, I think the primary antagonist is on the same side as the protagonist.
Yeah.
Which is definitely, they did a good job of that.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. I think in terms of storytelling, it's, for me, I think it's really weak. Not in terms of like other movies, I think it's probably on par, but when you're looking at like 3-hour runtime nearly, saying this is the shortest one we watched, it's 2 hours 46 minutes, and there was only one real conflict.
Yeah.
And I think like, so obviously there's the small battle at the start.
That feels a bit out of place.
Yeah, but it's only there to kind of set up stuff. It's over in a second.
Achilles is.
Yeah, who Achilles is. You're kind of figuring out who all these characters are. You find out about Agamemnon, Odysseus, and all this kind of stuff. And then the rest of it, I mean, light spoilers, the film came out 10 years ago, 20 years ago. If you've not seen it, you've not seen it. But the rest of it is obviously
especially
the story of Troy.
Yeah,
with the Trojan horse.
That then.
Yeah, like there's a couple attacks at Troy. But that's it. It's all in the same place. Most of the film is set in the same place. It's the same battle. And I think compared to... So we watched this just after Kingdom of Heaven. And the amount of time and storytelling and different battles and different characters that it can follow kind of made Troy look a little small in comparison. I thought it was just like...
I think there are more characters we follow in Troy.
But not as complex. So there's less developed characters, I say. Like there's Sparta Man who wants his daughter back. There's Orlando Bloom who wants the daughter. You know, there's the son that's a good warrior. The priest that's the...
Hector.
You know, yeah. The king who does... Like, none of the characters change except Achilles.
Okay, yeah.
So I think they're just people in a story rather than characters that show growth and make decisions and actually do anything. So you've got Agamemnon, who's the main antagonist, but even he is like, I want power and control, and ends the film, I want power and control, and stays that way throughout the whole thing. Whereas Achilles actually goes through some soul searching of like, am I a fighter for Agamemnon? Do I want family for myself? You know, do I want my name to be famous? Oh no, I've actually fallen in love with this girl. You know, this stuff is happening there.
Yeah.
And I think he's the only character that really has that. Everyone else is very stuck on a straight path, which I think is quite... Like, if Achilles wasn't in this story, I think it'd be really boring. Especially because everyone knows the story of Troy.
Yeah.
You know they're going to get in the horse and they're all going to come out and sack the city, right?
I think, like, to me, that doesn't bother me at all, because it is, to me, a Greek tragedy. And so that's exactly what that is. You have all these side characters that are just... there to push the plot forward, and you really only have one hero that you're supposed to like identify with and then have your catharsis.
I just don't think you need 3 hours for that story.
No, surely. I mean, surely they could have done it in less time.
Yeah.
And I also get like, it's only one conflict. They're only attacking Troy, and that's basically what's happening. But they do it in different ways. They're definitely switching it up. Like,
I just think you have the potential, like, this genre is epic.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got one character that changes.
I mean, I would totally be down with, like, more Greeks fighting, like, to have a sea battle or something, but that's not...
No, I don't
historically...
Mean that. Well, it's not historically accurate in the slightest. That's definitely... I think Troy is also one of the least historically accurate of the films that we watched. By a good margin.
What a shame.
What a shame. But no, I just... It did disappoint me a little bit. Just like, okay, they could have done more with these characters. In the time that they had, they could have developed at least 2 others.
Yeah. We definitely could have done more on Hector, so like we cared more when he died. Showed
some development.
Yeah.
I thought the choreography for all that fight scenes was really well done.
Yeah.
It was well filmed.
Yeah.
It was a bit early 2000s Hollywood cheese.
Yeah.
There's no real, apart from the fight between Hector and Achilles, but the rest of them were quite kind of throwaway. You know what's happening, but that's about it.
I did like the very first fight. It's just like very like where it characterizes Achilles. He just like runs up to the sky, jumps, does a signature stabbing move, and it's over. I'm like, yes, that is such a perfect way to establish like this guy didn't even break a sweat. Like he knew exactly what he was doing and kills this mountain of a man. Yeah, that's good. Well. It's like no fuss. It's just straight to the point.
Straight to the point.
And obviously, Brad Pitt is very, very attractive in this film, so that is definitely a point to just watch it.
Is it? Is that why you'd watch a movie?
I mean, for a lot of viewers, that is a point.
Really?
It's not what I would watch rewatch Troy.
I don't think I'd ever rewatch a movie just because I found an actor attractive in it. Like, I don't know. It's just not where my priorities lie.
No, neither. But very sure that a lot of people are like,
go back watch The Goonies for Seth.
What?
The monster dude. You never seen The Goonies?
No.
Oh my word.
The what?
The Goonies.
Fair.
Do you not even know what that is?
I've heard of them, but I don't really know what it is.
Wow, okay. And I guess it's maybe like slightly before our time.
Like
80s or early 90s.
I mean, it's like Doctor Who. I know exactly what it is, but I've never seen it because that's also just not what runs.
It's quite British.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Yeah. I think The Goonies is American. Fine.
This is actually quite fun because you do get that a lot when you're like, oh, I'm a film student, or like I'm in film and TV.
Yeah, but that's not even like a filmy film. It's when people are like, you haven't seen Casablanca? And I'm like, no, I have not seen Casablanca.
Exactly.
When would that ever come up?
Yeah. So, it just doesn't run on TV, and I'm not the kind of person who's like searching for what people say is a classic.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, I definitely think all of these films that we watched are watchable.
Oh yeah. This was a good selection of films. Like they were all very, very solid films.
Whereas I think actually, so we had the choice to watch Gladiator. We have it if we want to watch it. I'm not a huge fan. I just think it's a bit.
It's slow. Yeah.
It's really slow.
It takes its time. Which is interesting because obviously I don't think it's nearly as long as the others we've watched. Pretty
long, I can check.
But like it definitely feels much longer than like the 3-hour films, just because you have so many.
3 hours. It's the same.
Yeah.
No,
but
251.
It just feels longer because it goes through so many stages, and you always have like the momentum gets dropped because he's like prisoner here
back to being a slave.
Yeah, back to being a slave, and then so many stages with like pauses in between.
Yeah. Whereas I do think for Troy, like, the stories are not even predictable because no one develops, so it's beyond predictable. But like, it's paced well.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like a long film. I just came out of it going, I wish they did more with the time that they did, but I enjoyed the time that was there.
Fair.
But I think it's closer to being classified as an action adventure film that is too long than an epic.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
There's not much to say about Troy. It's fine.
I don't know.
There's no good like advanced themes in there. It doesn't develop a topic.
Not really. No.
There's nothing. Like the film's pretty hollow.
Yeah.
I'd say there's no substance. It is literally like going to see a play of Troy, like an ancient Greek play.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what is Troy? Yeah, so it was like this battle between these two armies, and then they had this brilliant idea of, the story that they're telling is definitely not about the characters, but just the event.
Yeah, and I think, to be fair, if anyone doesn't know the event, it's a really easy and accessible way to find out about it.
Yeah.
And, it's not perfectly historically accurate, but it gets most of the main beats right. So, fine. Yeah. But, like, you know, Odysseus does what Odysseus does, and Agamemnon is, you know, the characters are right, but the details in it are a little bit rough.
Who cares? There's so many films now that are, like, based on...
Yeah, it's better than Gods of Egypt.
Yes.
Which I actually haven't seen, but I know it's terrible.
Oh, it's much better than that, trust me. I've seen that for whatever
reason. Or actually, like, Clash of Titans and Wrath of Titans, which are just kind of throwaway action flicks. I think Troy does do more than that.
Oh, much more. Nice. Yeah.
But no, I think on the other end of the spectrum, a film that fulfills its true potential.
Okay.
The director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven.
You're a fan of this film. I
am a fan of this film.
Okay.
Yeah, are you not?
Definitely not as passionately as you are.
Interesting.
Seems.
I guess definitely not my favorite film going. So if you haven't seen it, which is unlikely because it bombed pretty badly at the box office, it's Ridley Scott's tale of the Third Crusade, I believe. So it's where Saladin fights the Leper King of Jerusalem, and the Knights Templar. And then it follows roughly this guy Balian who...
We start off in France.
In France, yeah. I mean, it's probably the longest of the films we watched, just over 3 hours.
Yeah, it's over 3 hours.
But it follows, so it follows him from being a blacksmith to being a knight to being a baron, and then befriending the king, but then he conflicts with the head of the Knights Templar, who becomes king when the Leper King dies because he's a leper. But on the way, he kind of meets Saladin, or like his generals, and they fight out in the desert. There's a lot going on, and it ends in this huge siege of Jerusalem.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely... I see how that's much better than Troy. Like, there's a way longer journey. Like, this character goes through a lot more steps to end up where he is.
Yeah, and I don't think it's definitely paced faster than Gladiator. I don't think it's quite as punchy maybe as Troy.
Oh, no.
But I think that's because it deals with far more complex themes. So the whole film is actually about Muslim-Christian relations, which, given when this film came out, which was a couple years after 9/11, I mean, props to them.
Yeah.
Because they make a huge point of saying, like, it's not...
religion.
No. Religion is the problem, but not God, or faith. People having faith and belief isn't the issue. It's the religion that people follow, giving these rules that leads to war. Yeah. And it ends up like, does it really matter who sits in Jerusalem if it is the holy city? And I think to have that huge theme combined with character development for like everyone develops. From start to finish, there's no one that just does nothing, or is just like an innocent bystander. No one starts and ends in the exact same places, which I think is nice. I think it's really well done.
I think the Leopard King doesn't change, but that's me picking. Yeah, he dies, but like he doesn't change really.
No,
but that's nitpicking right now.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's
definitely our main character changes. The head of the Knights
Templar does
because he failed big time.
Yeah,
Saladin definitely does.
The general, he stays nice pretty much throughout, but he does start by trying to kill Balian.
Yeah.
You've got the sister of the Leper King.
Yeah.
Who goes through tons of changes. She ends up killing her son.
Yeah, Whoops. No, that's what I like. You definitely have some dilemmas that side characters deal with.
Yeah, like that's completely separate to Balian. So she finds out her son is a leper himself and has to decide, okay, what do we do? How do we deal with this?
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with the main character. It's a completely different issue. And it just kind of shows that there are, like, is that classic thing of video games? Like, if you take the main character out, what happens? Or, like, Indiana Jones gets done for that. Because if you take Indiana Jones out, the stories never change. It's always the same. But yeah, so I think if you took Balian out of this story, for the better, it would change the plot, but characters are still people. They're still having their dilemmas. And him in there complicates things in some areas and makes things easier in other areas. But the people in that story are people, rather than just kind of blank slates to continue a story.
No, I think that's interesting because a lot of the things they do aren't really pushing Valiant as a character forward, or like just there to drive his plot, his hero's journey.
Yeah.
But they set a general scene for what is happening around him that he can then act in. And so that's pretty cool because it's like you understand the world that he lives in better through the other characters.
Yes.
And so understand why he would make that decision or like why it's tragic and stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think they do a really good job of the pacing as well. There's a good amount of action that's not overdone.
Mm-hmm.
It's filmed really well, so there's a lot of good practical effects that really stand out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you'd never watch it for the choreography or anything.
Oh, no.
But it's good enough that it's impactful. It's not just like, okay, what's going on? Like, it's never confusing. You always get a sense of who's winning. And
yeah. So, I mean, the fight scenes are not there for the fight scenes, but, like, I think for heightened tension, you just get the fight every now and then.
But I think in saying that, like, especially the Jerusalem siege, because I think Helm's Deep in Lord of the Rings gets a really good rep for being a good fight scene. Or a good siege battle.
Yeah.
But there's nothing in it that's particularly special.
Yes.
In terms of, like...
One single thing? No, I think it's great because
the thing that works is that as a whole it works so well.
Long battle
it's long
sequence.
and coherent. And I do think it isn't on the same... It's not as good.
Yeah.
But in terms of what Helm's Deep does well... Kingdom of Heaven also does well. Like, the battles can be fairly lengthy, they are coherent, you have a good sense of where your characters are in the battle. Not as well as following, Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn, but it's definitely done to a similar degree.
Yeah, I mean, I like that it is very straightforward. You have the city, and then you have the people attacking, and they come in waves of days, so the first day they just try to use their catapults, and the second day they come in with them and try and actually breach the wall, and then the third day they try that again, but the defenders have different tactics to take them down and stuff, and so it is interesting throughout, but you also, I think, and this is very smart, they also take the time in between the days, so you have some 100%. Night scenes where the characters have some time to reflect or like change, so it's not just they have one battle which lasts for like virtually half an hour, and there's no time or room for them to actually think about what's happening and maybe consider other options to fighting. And that's very cool because I think that obviously throughout the battle on both sides, there's a lot of change going on. Yeah. Because they do realize that fighting is not what they're there for.
No, they just want to preserve the city.
They want to live.
No, I think it's good, and it's not just that one siege. There are plenty of like fights in the film that happen, which is done really well. Long. And the film moves, so it starts in France, then also they end up in the Holy Land, which is nice. It just
probably one of my favorite moments in that film is when the German gets an arrow through his neck and he just keeps fighting because
he's German.
Yeah, it's definitely because he's German. Yeah,
strong genes.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he has arms that are more than double the.
Well, that's not saying very much.
No, but it's insane,
he's definitely like a heavy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, I fairly enjoy that film. I don't think it's...
That being said, one of the least favorite things about that film is like the number of slow motion, blurry, fade over...
There is a lot.
...sequences where I'm like, this is so cheesy, and why? Why is this shot of not even a character, but just something in slow motion?
Yeah, and it always uses the over-cranking slow motion where it's super jittery. High frame rates. You heard it here.
I don't know. That's just a dated effect, I think. I mean, because we saw that in Resident Evil as well. It's just like, okay, you can do slow motion, but why? Like, there's no exact... To me, there's no real motivation to to show like most of those things in slow motion.
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I do think. Why? I don't know.
If you want to see Orlando Bloom like walk through dusty fields,
dead bodies, dramatic and.
Oh, or that, yeah. Sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things that just kind of like, yeah, these films aren't dated, but they use techniques that date the films for sure. I think if you do watch this, make sure you watch the director's cut.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube actually, but
for whatever reason.
It's really hard to find. You can't get it anywhere really. But the theatrical cut is like a weird action film. They cut nearly an hour off.
Yeah.
And a lot of very significant characters. In fact, characters are just missing.
Yeah.
So definitely it is an inferior film. It didn't do well at the box office for that reason, and then very quickly they rushed out the director's cut.
Yeah, I think like just a month or two later they were like, oh.
Because I think like if you film something this complex, you can't start cutting stuff right. Whereas Troy, I think you could cut off half an hour. Mm-hmm. Like it'd be less of a movie, sure, but like less literally.
You would probably just take out some of the fight scenes, shorten them down, so like the battle is not just a lot of talking, but you just have.
But you're not losing any character development. Whereas I think Kingdom of Heaven, it has that character development there, like.
Yeah, so in Troy there's no character development to lose. Yeah. Whereas in Kingdom, that's
Kingdom of Heaven is all characters.
Yeah, but I think that's exactly what happened. We also watched a movie that explained that with like the writer or the editor saying like the two different versions is like, I guess they were lucky that there was so much story going on that removing like an hour of footage from the film meant that the story was still intact, but they had just removed all the characters, so like actually all the
what the film is,
all the flesh, the bone, the structure was still there, but like all the meat was gone.
It's interesting that you didn't like it that much though.
No, I don't think I liked it significantly more than Troy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I just like my films more complex.
I don't know. I don't think it didn't strike me as like incredibly complex.
I think maybe not in terms of like Inception. I'm not sure what's going on.
No.
But in terms of
certainly not in that way.
The dilemmas that the characters go through. There's plenty of things that aren't always in movies, and I think the characters feel very real, which I liked. Whereas I think in Troy, characters just come off as a kind of almost a caricature of themselves. Like everyone's very exaggerated.
But you do get those characters in Kingdom of Heaven.
I think less so.
Like
there's one or two.
The head of the Templar, Guy, I don't know. Whatever his name is. He's definitely caricature.
Yeah, I think if they kind of toned him down a little bit. But I think he's the only one. The other guy I kind of bought quite well, the French guy.
Yeah.
Who
was also in Troy.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is who? Oh, he is in Troy. Yeah, he's head of Treadstone.
Yeah.
in Jason Bourne. Yeah, I don't know. I thought there was way more going on. I definitely like. It's not a film I watch regularly. It's not like my favorite movie or anything.
Oh no.
But I would rather sit down and watch that again. I think. I thought
that's fair enough.
A bit more visceral.
That's fair enough.
Film I probably wouldn't watch again would be Arn, the Knight Templar.
This is actually so funny because it is a film set in exactly the same time.
Did not realize this before. It is the same.
Yeah, I mean identical. It is very obvious because they show the same event.
Yeah, so it's the Battle of Hadden, I think.
Yeah.
Where the Knights Templar walked through the desert for 3 days and then got decimated.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
By Saladin's army, because obviously they camped out in the desert
next to an oasis with water.
so they were not thirsty and exhausted when the fight happened. Yeah. No, but this follows Swedish.
Yeah, it's a Swedish monk, I guess.
Yeah, he grows up as a monk.
It's set over by far the longest timeline, so it's set over like 25 years in total. It is actually interesting. Find this out while watching it. 2 movies combined are part of a trilogy. So for the English release, the English language release, you can't even watch it in English. They combined the first 2 movies into one.
Yeah, so like half of the film is in Swedish, and half the film is in English.
Yeah, and the second film takes place in the Holy Land, and most of the first one is in Sweden, where they kind of intercut them.
Yeah.
Which worked fine. But there's a lot of character development that just seems to be quite implied, like stuff is missing.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, oh, you'd be my closest friend. I'm like, have you? You spent like 2 scenes together.
Yeah. No, so it's Arn and Cecilia.
Mm-hmm.
He's a monk and she's just a farmer's daughter.
Yeah, and they elope.
Yes.
They're sent for 20 years in isolation. She's in a terrifying convent monastery, what you call them. Nun place.
Because they did some sinful things. So he's sent to the Holy Land, she's sent to
a convent. That's
a convent.
Not covenant.
For 20 years each.
20 years. Bro.
Which is funny because they don't, like, visibly, they don't change at all.
No, Arn grows a beard.
Yeah,
20-year beard.
20-year beard.
Yeah, so I guess we see... actually, I think the action scenes are the worst out of all the films we watched in this.
Yeah.
They are nothing special.
No.
I think they're just kind of there to be like, a fight has happened.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Rather than, like, a pacing.
I feel like you don't really get choreography.
No. But yeah, so I don't think it does anything really for the pacing. It's just something that's happening.
Yeah, I think in terms of film, this was definitely more a historical film. Like they were, they definitely tried to be very close to
the least historically accurate, though.
Is it?
Yeah, by a long shot, actually. So like the events in Kingdom of Heaven, they kind of merge a couple historical figures into one or two. People, just to kind of simplify the story.
Yeah.
But in Arn, those characters aren't even mentioned. So like that battle happens.
Yeah.
That was Guy de Knights Templar man and the French guy. Mm-hmm. They were the people that instigated that event, and Balian was actually in that battle, which he wasn't in Kingdom of Heaven.
Yeah.
But none of those characters, the head of the order, are even mentioned. It's like, oh, Arn the Knight Templar and his mate Jerry
Redford or something.
Yeah, but like, so none of those characters are even there. So in terms of like historical accuracy, it's like, this battle happened.
Yeah,
but that's it. You know, that's kind of where you draw the line. And you hear about characters. It's like, oh yeah, the King of Jerusalem. You know, he's worked for peace. And you're like, yeah, no, we've actually met him in the other films.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah. In terms of the stuff with Sweden, I think that's where it tried to be more historically accurate in terms of the fighting between the wolf people. I don't know the clan names. Sverker clan.
Sverker and whoever the other one is.
So their conflict is more
versus red.
Out. Yeah, literally they're blue versus red flags. I was like,
that's all you get. Half of the Skarsgård families in that film, though.
Yeah, well, to be fair, that's not very hard because they are the Scandinavian film industry.
It is hilarious.
So you get Pennywise the clown. Well, Bootstrap Bill.
Yeah,
I don't. They're all called the same thing.
I think Alex.
Oh, Floki from Vikings.
Oh no, not Alex, because that's the Tarzan guy. He's not in it.
Oh no.
Oh no. No,
don't ask me. I don't know the names. There's so many of them.
You get the father Skarsgård, the dude who's also.
Yeah. If you don't know who we're talking about, so Skarsgård are basically like acting royalty in Scandinavia. Sweden. Are they Swedish?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so they're in a lot of films.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of them in this movie.
There's so many kids.
Yeah.
And
I think he's got 8.
And like at least 6 of them act as well, which is insane.
Yeah, it's definitely the family business.
But 3 of them are in this film.
I'm not surprised that this film didn't do very well financially. Mm-hmm. But I think the kind of mix between English and Swedish is really jarring. So there's no subtitles for this movie. You have to close caption, which means you've got so that's for like hearing impaired people. Mm. But if you're not going to subtitle it, means like, okay, so you're watching the whole thing with subtitles, essentially. So even the bits in English have English subtitles. Mm. Whereas if it was like, okay, we're going to do... I mean, if you want it to do well in the English market, which they did because they cut together this film for the English speaking. Yeah. Right, so it's like, okay, well, half the film's still in Swedish, and there's no way to watch it with just the Swedish bits translated. Mm. So definitely, like, because we even thought, we were like, is this film in English? Because, like, it jumped back and forth. So the bits in Jerusalem, I'm like, they're all this is the English version. Like,
See,
we do have the right version.
That's what I thought. Like, they were gonna do something that's fancy, and when they're in Sweden, they talk Swedish, but when they're in Jerusalem or some other place, then they obviously also had to learn a different language, or like he speaks Arabic, so like he might be speaking French or Latin, whatever, in Jerusalem, just to get by better because no one else speaks Swedish.
But the bits in Arabic aren't even translated, so you're just left there to be like, I have no idea, unless you turn the subtitles on.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, is a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the film's fine. I mean, it's on Prime. It's nothing special.
You do get a really, really scary nun.
She's terrifying.
Yeah.
Nuns are horrible. I hate that idea of being locked up somewhere for 20 years with some, like, terrifying 8-year-old woman with a vendetta against people. They always are portrayed as evil in movies. Like, even Sound of Music, I think that started my nun fear. Because she gets locked up in a convent, does she not?
But do you think that's only just because they get portrayed that way? Like, do you think...
I've never met a nun.
Do you think that might be the problem?
I don't know. I probably, if I met a nun, you'd never hear from me again. I'd be dead.
Because we all know that ignorance is a very dangerous thing.
Okay. Where are you going with this? Have you ever met a nun? Right. Moving on.
Not personally.
My friend did. I've never seen him again.
No.
No, I just think it's a scary idea to be locked up from the church for so long.
Oh, I mean, definitely during that time, that it's a whole different issue. Yeah.
I don't know what nuns are like these days. Maybe they're like a cult.
Locked up. Yeah.
It feels very culty. Okay. That's all I'm gonna say.
Fair enough.
No,
but I definitely wouldn't want to be like, oh, your prison sentence is to live this life for 20 years. Oof. Like, it's not actually imprisonment.
You're not
like where you're just in prison.
Oh yeah, you gotta like clean and stuff.
No, yes, and no, but you're forced to live a very different kind of life, and then you're let out to like do whatever you want, and you're like, this is to go from like to have to change your life. But definitely that scary nun moment was very, very close to Bilbo's moment in
Bilbo with the ring.
She's
being all nice and forgiving, and she's asking for forgiveness for being a horrible person. And then when she says like, no, only God can...
She doesn't say no, she says only God can forgive you.
Yeah.
She goes like, oh, I'll curse you.
Her face goes off. It's very, very scary.
I think that was a cool moment.
Sure.
Yeah?
I thought the film was fine. Definitely...
Had its moments.
I think it was my least favourite of the 4 that we watched.
Yeah.
It's also horrifically long, like everything else. I don't think it earned the epic title in nothing but time passed in the film, which is obviously like 20 odd years.
Yeah. Also because we just don't spend a lot of time in the Holy Land. We spend a lot of time in
we spend a lot of time in Sweden doing nothing. This is the other problem. If you're stuck in a convent for 20 years, it doesn't make for great filmmaking because nothing happens.
Well, I totally get how that could be an interesting story. Like,
it's a different story.
That's the thing. They definitely didn't manage to split the story well between Arn and Cecilia. Because, like, they show both sides, you know? They always switch back between him and her. And if they actually had 2 separate films that would deal with one person each in that sense, that would be way more interesting and coherent, because then you have one story of just her
doing nothing for 20 years.
But you could flesh out way more character development with her and the queen that is also
in prison.
In prison there for some time, very shortly until but
it's not that short.
She's not the queen when she's imprisoned, but as soon as she becomes
over, she's now queen and not prisoner anymore.
So her husband, betrothed, becomes king, and then she's released. I'm like, that is so weird.
It's just odd. Yeah, there's a lot of like,
but that could
historical
be a film by itself.
Things that aren't really explained.
Yeah,
like how things work.
I feel like that just could be a film by itself, and that would be fine.
Which I think is another thing that Kingdom of Heaven does really well. It explains the rules of the time. So this is 1,000 years ago, and I think like stuff is different. You know, the way people think and do stuff is different, and I think they modernize some stuff so that you don't get lost. The stuff that's not historically accurate, and other things they do explain without kind of pausing the film to be like, this is how the world is. It's all quite snuck in through dialogue.
Yeah.
Which I thought was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would have liked, like, there was a message at the very end of the film where it's like, because of Arn Magnusson and then when he's back in Sweden, he helps the people defend themselves.
The Sverkers.
Yeah.
And the Danes.
And the Danes. And therefore, that's kind of the start of Swedish...
Yeah, he unites Sweden, and you're like, how?
Yeah, I was like, if you want to make a story about this man because he is one of the, like, founding fathers of a united Sweden, then make a different film, or like make it clear from the start that is why you're telling the story.
The end definitely seemed rushed. Yeah. Like, he gets back from the Holy Land, there's a battle, and then it seems
like a different story again.
Which I think is because it's a different movie.
There's 3 stories, so him.
Well, the English version's only 2 films though, so I think they've just grabbed the very end of the 3rd film and just chucked it in there.
Maybe we should just watch all 3 films and then come back.
They're not available in Britain.
Maybe we should not watch all 3 films and not come back.
Not continue this story.
Our
latest movie, the one that's definitely, I mean, it's out 2020, so in the last 5 months at some point, Samurai Marathon.
It's definitely out.
Needs work on the title.
It is. I mean, it is what it is, though.
Yeah. Do you say it needs out?
No, it is. It is. I think, if you have an odd one out of these 4, this is the odd one out.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's shorter. It's not really an epic, but it's historical. So we thought we'd give it a whammy. It got good reviews, so we thought we'd check it out. I quite liked it.
Yeah.
I think it was fine.
It was fine. It's a very pretty film. Like,
yeah,
I think even though like desert landscape and stuff is very pretty and stuff, I think this film was
it's definitely like they've got nice colors, all the shot composition is really well done. I think so basically the kind of plot of the film is the Americans
based on a true story.
Yeah.
So
this is very accurate as well.
That does work with the other films. Like, they're all based on they're very historical.
Yeah, we got this.
Yeah.
There's Americans have come to the shores of Japan. So it's right, maybe 30 years before The Last Samurai.
Yeah.
And there's been peacetime for a long time. So the samurai aren't really ready for battle. So the head of this clan hosts a marathon, essentially. It's a 36-mile long race. Up and down hills. I was like, I think not. But yeah, so he hosts this marathon to just kind of like make sure all his men are fit and healthy and they're not being lazy. And
their bodies and their minds.
Yeah, but every single character that you follow, which is maybe 6, 7, there's a good few.
Yeah.
Have a reason to win. You know, they're all given a kind of purpose, or at least to be in the marathon. And I think that's nice. So you don't really know who you're rooting for. Everyone's got a kind of stake your hand in the pie, if it will. Which I think is nice. So you don't really know who you're rooting for. You know, people do things that are bad, but then, you know, conflict occurs. I'm not going to spoil this film because it's new. I do think people should watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when conflict occurs, characters that you dislike do things that are heroic and vice versa, and you're kind of, you don't really know whose side everyone's on and how it's going, and even people, so it's like characters are selfish, but then so like they want to win the race, but then when a larger conflict occurs, they'll actually be more heroic and be more selfless.
Yeah.
Which I think they do a really good job of that.
Yeah, I do like that there's in a way no clear main character. I mean, the story is definitely told from this one guy's perspective, or like just like he tells the story through a voiceover at the very beginning. But he's also one of the few that doesn't really have a motivation to win the race, but just to run in it, which I think is interesting, because then you are like, okay, I'm not like, there's no point in rooting for him or against him. So you can place all of that on the other characters, which is very cool. But I also like that it's not a, like, you figure out what's going on as the movie progresses, so it's not
as the characters find out.
Which is really cool, because like at first it's okay, are we just gonna watch them run? And
there is that moment where you're like,
are we just gonna watch this marathon?
But no, I think also it doesn't tell you what's going to happen ahead of time, so you can't figure out, but also you're not kind of left confused, so you're not like, oh, who are these characters all of a sudden doing this thing, and then catching up after the characters have found out. You literally find out as they do, which is it's done really well.
And some good twists. Some
good twists.
Yeah.
Or maybe there isn't. Who knows?
I mean, you won't know until you see the twist.
I think the action in it is done really well. Really cleanly. So it's, again, not overly choreographed,
I love that it isn't.
No, 100%, yeah. Because it is literally like these two guys or four guys are trying to kill each other.
It feels so real. So it's not it doesn't feel like it's a choreography that has been rehearsed in a studio. So like you have long sequences of like them just like someone hits, someone parries. But it's much shorter action sequences that really seem like these guys are trying to kill each other. And that is just so cool, because it's not like, it doesn't look like they have a box set of standard moves that they do, but it's
they're
like
all reacting in real time to the other person. It's done really
that's
well.
what it feels like, and that's incredible.
I actually thought, I was like, okay, this isn't too flourishy or anything. It's definitely not like Chinese sword fighting films where it's all about, you get wire through and everyone's flying and all kinds of stuff, or Into the Badlands, which we recommend watching. I think we do.
Sure. If you're into that style of fighting.
Very good fighting. Yeah. But it's much more controlled, contained, but also it's amazing how many films get that wrong.
Yeah.
So like there's no weird shaky cam, there's no quick cuts, like the fights are just left usually with one or two kind of angles that you can follow really easily and follow along, which I find quite refreshing.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, that's nothing special, but actually considering how many fights get that wrong, that's definitely above par.
And it's also like not over dramatized, because like this is a big spoiler, like people die obviously,
of course,
but like it's all just very like and they're dead.
And they're dead, yeah.
Also in a very realistic way, which is like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Fair enough.
People are dangerous. These swords are sharp.
No, definitely. I would strongly recommend watching it. I think obviously like the pacing, I mean, you can guess like they're running a race. Everything's moving all the time. You're constantly in new places. It moves pretty quickly. It is subtitled. So the film's in Japanese, which I think lends to the authenticity for sure.
Subtitling's a bit off though. That was annoying.
Yeah, so the subtitling is one line behind. So the characters... Oh no, ahead.
Oh, ahead, yeah. Ahead. So you
read the subtitle and then the character says it.
I have no issue with that per se, but when the character says the line, the next subtitle's already there. So like you're reading different subtitles to what is being said.
The way to do it is just shut off.
Yeah.
You're hearing in terms of what they're saying and just read.
Yeah.
It is a bit of a shame at times, but
yeah, because you're like,
possible.
I think maybe what would just change the whole game of that is if they could have but their names are so long, because they don't have the names in front of what the person says, so it's just what is being said, and therefore if someone says something but you have the subtitles of someone else's dialogue. It's kind of confusing.
I think there's only one or two times where I was like, hang on a second. Like when there's 3 or more characters talking, I was a bit like, I can figure out who's saying this line, but the other two are kind of, it's one or the other. They're never to a point of like, oh, I'm confused by where the, why is this happening?
Yeah. No, I think it's just like you do have to focus on actually reading the subtitles.
Yeah.
Which is sad. Maybe it's just a good incentive to start learning Japanese.
Or just pay attention to the movie and not sit on your phone, which is something I'm very guilty of, especially with these longer films. Which, to be fair, apart from Arn,
I
would say the rest of them are very engaging.
Yeah,
the whole way through. They definitely keep you glued, which for films of this length is impressive.
Yeah,
and definitely something that Gladiator fails to do.
I don't know. I also feel like I've seen it often enough. Like, that's definitely a film I have seen multiple times, so it's like, nothing surprises you anymore.
See, I think that's that whole bit. Like, I mean, obviously the line's famous. Like, are you not entertained?
Yeah.
But watching Gladiator, I'm like, the first battle was entertaining.
Yeah.
Obviously, his character development's entertaining, but you can only see that once.
Mm.
Once you know, and it's then down to the rest of the film,
And like,
how pretty is it? How quotable is it? How good are the action scenes? How good are the dialogue exchanges? Yeah. I don't think Gladiator does the rest of them particularly well.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the way people die is tragic, but then it's like, you also grow accustomed to that, or like, knowing that it will happen means that you're so prepared for the tragedy.
Yeah.
That it's like, whereas I feel like in Kingdom of Heaven, it being like an actual dilemma that people have to choose one evil over the other evil, makes it a bit more entertaining, because it's like, it's going to be a dilemma every single time.
Yeah. That is another thing, actually. I'm just thinking, I was kind of like, I wasn't prepped for you saying that you didn't enjoy the film, but didn't enjoy it that much for Kingdom of Heaven. I can't think of another film of this genre that I prefer, unless you class Lord of the Rings as an epic.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely...
I mean, Lord of the Rings is the gold standard fantasy epic.
Yeah.
But in terms of historical epic, I don't think there's anything else for me. Because, I mean, I enjoyed The Last Samurai, but I think it tropes too much on the white savior.
Oh, yeah.
And it takes a huge pacing dump in the middle. Which is like...
And it's Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I don't like Tom Cruise anyway. He's a terrible... Right, this is actually something. Very, very quickly, right? People seem to have forgot. Like, Tom Cruise is a terrible human being that sent his kid to essentially like a cult school, and was ridiculed.
Mm-hmm.
He made Mission Impossible 4 and everyone forgot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. Like, he didn't change.
Nope.
He's Scientologist crazy man.
Yeah.
But fine. I also don't think he's that good an actor. Like, he can't get away with it,
He's not a very versatile actor, for sure.
No, but it's the same as Fearless, Jet Li's film. Chinese film, which is a historical film, not an epic. I don't know if it's long enough. But that kind of goes for the same thing as Last Samurai. In the middle, he starts planting rice. Yeah. And there's a huge pacing dump in the middle of that. And I'm like, why has this happened? It just kind of... I think it's a shame when films do that.
Yeah, especially like it being in the middle. If it's not short, but
you've got
long,
to watch.
Then you are missing so much of time that you can have in your second act to actually really push and
for it to take something
so
intensity. Dramatic to change the characters. It's quite jarring, I think, for the audience.
Yeah, I guess it's they just want to have a lot of time for the character to reflect on who they have been and who they want to be at the...
But no, I think for 3 hour plus historical epics, I can't think of a film I'd rather watch than Kingdom of Heaven. If you know any, let us know down below.
Oh yeah, please comment.
We love your suggestions.
No, but, maybe it's just like that.
I think it's the
genre. I'm not sure if I could say there's a film that I would rather watch, but then maybe it's just not my kind of film. Generally.
I agree with that. I think I definitely don't sit down to watch these films very often. There's a reason that we kind of not forced ourselves to, but we're like, okay, let's do a video on this and watch all these films that kind of people talk about, and like, oh, you've not seen Gladiator? You need to see Gladiator. You need to see Troy, and it's like, okay, let's just do it. Let's watch them all.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't go around saying like you have to see these movies.
No.
But
I think there's,
to be honest.
Yeah. No. But I think there's an element of character development that can't be done in shorter films that is nice to see in a film this long. Like there's a potential. Like that's why stuff like Game of Thrones did so well. Is because if you go, we're going to give you 70 hours to develop these characters. And that's why it is so insulting when in season 8 of Game of Thrones, they just all take a huge tight left turn and go off in one direction. Because it's like, you have this time
to
take your characters from literally children or not even born yet to what they become.
Yeah.
I think the historical epic is the middle ground there of like, okay, it's not a 2-hour action film.
Yeah.
But you've got that time. And even like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you're looking at 10 years of cinema and it's like the characters can't change.
Yeah.
Because
when you said like anything that compares to it, I was immediately thinking of a series. I think, what's it? Pillars of the Earth, of the World?
Okay. Pillars of Eternity?
No.
Okay.
but it's with Eddie Redmayne. I think one of his first big roles. But that's good.
Okay, I've not seen it.
That's good TV. Yeah.
Maybe there you go.
If you have seen
What's it on Netflix?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. It was definitely made for TV, not for streaming.
Fair. Or even actually, it's not Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
The character development over 10 hours is huge.
Yeah. No, but that's. I mean, it's an adaptation of a book. Can't follow it.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But
So,
I just mean in terms
good.
of time for character development. There is a nice middle ground where you can take the time to develop multiple characters. That's why I think it's a shame that Troy doesn't, because you have 3 hours to develop 6 characters, which is nice. What?
I don't know. It's not necessary for me. I see Troy as a different kind of film.
But whether or not it is, it markets itself as.
Yeah. I don't know that. I haven't.
See, this is the other thing. This is very revealing when it comes to choosing movies to watch. It's usually me, which means I have to read all the blurbs.
No, but I knew of Troy as a film, but definitely not. It was not like I was in a time where Troy was advertised as a certain kind of movie, so I always go into watching the film with no prior knowledge.
But you don't think it should be shorter then? 3 hours is long, and people still complain about 3-hour films.
Oh, it didn't feel long to me.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I just think there's more could be done.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like many movies. Almost.
Yeah, but if we don't critique them, we'll never learn.
Oh, that's true. Okay. Yeah, no, definitely Troy, guys.
Oi. Sarcasm will get you nowhere.
No, actually, if... No, but if there is something to critique, then yeah.
Yeah. No, I would say, if you're looking at historical epics and which to watch, and if you're... Who's watching? Never know. But if you're making one...
Oh, yeah.
Then, you have 3 hours. There are characters in Troy that could be developed. You could take Odysseus on a turn, or have Agamemnon get more evil, or have...
Oh, Odysseus doesn't do anything.
Yeah, but, he's in the film enough to change, or at least do something, rather than, does a horse? You want to make a horse? So I think you've got that potential to change these characters. And you've got the time to do that, and it's a shame that they don't. I think the film is fine. I enjoy Troy. I've seen it more than once now. But I don't think it fulfills its potential of what it could be.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, in fact, so you've just finished Red Dead Redemption, which, either Red Dead 2, which I think is a game that couldn't be done in any other medium. So it's a story that couldn't be told through a long TV show or in a film, because there's too much character development for a film, and it's too slow for a show, I think. So there isn't that consistent big battle at the end of each season that you could rely on. There are bits where there's just not much going on. It's just busy work, the camp's doing fine, everyone's happy, but that's character development, which is really hard for shows to keep engaging sometimes.
Interesting.
But I think because it's a game and you're in it, you can enjoy the little things. You can go fishing, and that's still fun. But if you spent a TV show watching someone fish, you'd be like, what am I watching?
Oh, you would definitely have to, if you take Red Dead Redemption 2 and turn it into a TV show, I definitely think it would work, but you would have to cut out so many of those sequences,
Yeah, but I think that's what makes the story so impactful, is because you've got a cast of, 10, 13 in the gang, and all of them change. Sometimes minorly, sometimes majorly, but all of them have an arc, which I respect them for that.
Okay.
No?
I don't see it that strongly I don't see all of them go through change.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple, I would say the ones that don't are in the first game. So they're
and not
setting
in
up.
the second.
No, they're in the second, but the change for them happens over the course of 2 games.
Okay.
Whereas the rest of them, yes. But I think the rest of them do go through a change. Yeah, I'm going with all.
Okay.
Maybe except 1 or 2, or the ones that die early.
Okay, I think the only ones are Arthur, Dutch, Charles,
John,
yes.
Sadie,
Sadie.
The Pearson.
Not really.
Why not? He straightens himself right out. The Minister. I mean,
Reverend?
Yeah.
Yeah, he changes.
He changes. I think most of the characters start and end somewhere differently.
Okay. But I don't think, like, to me, that's so... Like, it doesn't really do anything to the story other than you have characters that
No, but that's if we're talking about, like, Kingdom of Heaven again with the theatrical and director's cut.
Mm-hmm.
The story's the same if you cut out an hour of content.
Mm-hmm.
But the characters aren't.
I feel like in Kingdom of Heaven it still influences the story though, whereas in Red Dead Redemption, like say if the Reverend is a drunk or not a drunk, you know, if you cut that development out, it changes nothing at all either.
No, but like the story is the same in the theatrical cut of Kingdom of Heaven.
Uh-huh.
Like,
yeah,
stuff happens. There's slightly less character motivation for some things.
Yeah.
But everyone, like, the film makes sense,
mm-hmm.
just about. Like, it's definitely rough, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think when you compare something like, I mean, let's take Red Dead then, where most of the characters do change, even if it doesn't influence the story, compared to Troy, where one character changes. Yeah. And the rest of them are not even, like, on a straight line upward trajectory, like where you've got Aragorn starting here and ending here, and it's very, he is becoming the hero. It is literally flat. You know? King start, king end.
I don't see it that flat. Because you do have Orlando Bloom, who's like, oh, I'm gonna take this woman, and come what may, I'm gonna fight them off. We're gonna run off and live a good life and hide. And then he's like, oh, I'm actually a coward person. And then he's like,
a coward. Like, they set him up as an archer, which is historically a really cowardly fighting role. Like, from the start.
No, but
everyone tells him you're not a fighter, and he's like, no, I will.
But that's fair. But like, he definitely goes through, and then he fights, and then is the coward again. Like, it's definitely in waves.
I don't know.
And then Hector definitely also goes through some change.
Hector goes from I'm a fighty man to dead. I mean, his tactical decisions are right.
Yeah.
At every point and call, and they just get ignored. But like he's very perfect in that regard. But no, I just think there's a potential there that's missed. But no, in terms of like Red Dead, okay, the story wouldn't change if you took out. I mean, you could take out half the gang members, and the story would be the same, identical.
Absolutely.
But what makes it so complex, and why I think that resonated with pretty much everyone that played it, is that the characters all feel real. People are changing, because in real life, people are changing all the time. There's no one that starts and ends the same, over such a large period of time. Which I think is why that's so refreshing.
Yeah.
And also hard to do in a TV show, because you'd have to... Or look at Walking Dead, which juggles a similar size cast. And
I feel like
bits where it's slow lose millions of viewers. And the bits where it's faster also lose millions of viewers, because it's just badly written at this point. But in terms of juggling a cast, it does it far less effectively. Because you just can't. If you, I want to spend some time developing this side character. In a game, that's just a side mission that you can choose to do or not. And there's some gimmick, it takes half an hour. Whereas if you spend time developing a side character in a TV show for their not to matter too much, maybe slight change on your main character, it's not enough to stay engaging.
So that's what I definitely understand with like side missions that you can choose to do or not to do. I think that is incredibly valuable to the game over like say a TV show, because you can do those things and they might do something for you as the person playing or not at all, but then it's like it was your choice and you can always choose to not do that afterwards. Like say, okay, chapter 1 and 2 of the game were very slow because I did all the side missions. I want to have a more fast-paced game. I will only do the main missions, and so I will drive the plot forward a bit.
Whereas that's actually one thing. So you missed all of the character development for Strauss because you stopped doing the debt collecting missions.
Yeah. So
that's definitely like if you're not going to do a character's side missions, the character won't develop.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. The game accommodates that. Like it definitely works, but it's interesting that it's like I did them all, so I know what does happen if you do them all, and it's like, okay, there is a huge development arc there that is just missed if you want for pacing, and you can kind of choose.
I would say not for him though, but for the main character. So Arthur's relationship to him.
He does change.
He does change.
Yeah. Okay. So he actually comes up in the epilogue. So his loyalty is founded. So John finds him.
Mm-hmm.
Or his corpse. Spoilers.
Yeah. No, you did tell me what happens.
So he dies in jail. But no, so.
But is that because he changed, or just because he didn't change and got found out?
No, it proves his loyalty, I think, because that's the thing it starts to get called into question in the main game.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a kind of thing there because they're looking for a rat.
Oh, okay.
So is it one of the snivelly members rather than one of the big tough guys?
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of develops through that arc. I mean, there's plenty of things. It's got nearly 10 side missions.
Mm-hmm.
So you can choose the development and you can choose the pacing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you choose to pace it slower, it can be more like a historical epic kind of style, and if you do only the main missions, you're looking at more like an action film kind of game. Which I think is why games are so unique. I think there's definitely things that TV shows can do better or films can do better. So like there's dramatic moments that you can ruin by hitting a tree with your horse, which Jonas would never do.
No, I would never do.
But like there's definitely storytelling elements that can be done smoother in films.
Yeah.
But in terms of that specific story, I think for something so long, it's done very well. It's told very engaging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Would be my outlook.
I think that's all. Unless you have more to say.
Do you have less to say? Anything else?
No, I think I agree with all of what you said.
Really, you're saying it so sarcastically. I'm not sure I believe you.
Am I?
A little bit.
Smash like if you think I'm sarcastic, and like if you, I don't know.
Leave a comment below if you're convinced that Jonas can appreciate long form filmmaking.
Oh yeah. If you comment below if you think I can appreciate long form filmmaking.
Yeah, you're like, none of the characters changed in Red Dead.
That's not
the
filmmaking,
complexity
though.
Of Kingdom of Heaven added nothing to the film. It's like, well,
I'm not saying those things.
No?
No.
What are you saying?
Whoa, okay, we got an hour to fill again. No, I don't know. It's
you're
just
just kind of nodding along.
No, but to me, a lot of those things don't feel like they really add that much. You know, to say like Red Dead, it's a really good story.
Mm-hmm.
But like just because you have characters that you could develop or that do develop, I don't think that's what added I don't think it added that much to my main character's story.
No. But it'll add to your experience of the game.
Perhaps.
Okay.
I think there's also a clear difference between how they function and serve the story and my experience of the story to how, for example, the side characters in Kingdom of Heaven functioned and served that story, because they actually had an impact on the hero's story.
But I think like in Kingdom of Heaven, it kind of makes the film, because the characters feel like people, because everyone's got their own conflict and developments, by making them feel like people and having it set as a historical epic, it can get away with some slight historical inaccuracies because it feels so real. Whereas having films that are more, or characters that are less developed, less happening, and telling more focus on the story, it feels less historically accurate. You go, okay, this event happened, but the who, wow, and the what is completely off. Whether or not that's down to actual historical inaccuracy or the character development is hard to say, but definitely watching the films, like Troy, definitely disadvantaged by its cast. I think like the cast are way off in terms of none of them are Greek and none of them are Turkish. Like there's an argument of like whitewashing there, but fine. But in terms of, I watch that and I see Hollywood, it feels like a movie and a movie that's telling me a story or of an event rather than I am watching history.
Okay, so maybe what I'm getting from you is to have characters and like throughout the film all characters developing and stuff, just make it more real to you, so more engaging in that way.
Yeah, because the characters are realistic.
Yeah, which I feel maybe I'm I'm not quite there with you is because I am more easily engaged by characters, and so I don't have that disassociation from the characters, and so I don't need them to be a whole lot more real and complex and stuff to still feel like the world is real. And that's why maybe Kingdom of Heaven isn't that much greater than Troy, because that is not something that I need
for
the film to be engaging.
That makes sense.
So yeah, if that is something that you guys need, then absolutely Kingdom of Heaven would be a whole lot more better than Troy. And similarly, Red Dead Redemption would be brilliant because you do have all this development, which makes the characters feel real, which makes the whole experience feel way more real. But I don't think that's what I need for their experience to be that way.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. No,
I guess that makes sense, because there are a lot of films actually that you enjoy that I don't, for that very reason, which makes a lot of sense.
No, and I think that's also why, for example, very telling for you is like if it is a long film and you stay engaged and you don't like go on your phone or something, whereas like there's hardly any film where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take out my phone, and that's just because I am more easily engaged.
No, for sure.
I think that's we might have gotten to the bottom of something there.
Definitely. I'm definitely more critical. Like, I will very quickly spot I don't look for flaws, but if I see one, I'm very quickly like, I'm out.
I mean, that's what we said with like Extraction. Like, you're not looking for the hidden cuts, but once you see them,
they're there.
They're
you
everywhere.
can go check out our Extraction video. If you want to find out how we thought about that.
No, that's true.
No, I think that's probably definitely true. I think that's why I tend to avoid films of this length, because it's so hard for them to get it right, and when they are done right.
No, and that's like with I don't want to mention Kingdom of Heaven again, but it's like with the slow motion things, like once I find it irritating, it comes back up, but once you notice like they're very cool plot points, like dilemmas and stuff, then it's this. I think it works the same way in a positive way.
Yeah.
To say like, oh, there are like brilliant moments here, and then you spot them, and you're like, I very much appreciate that as well.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
We've landed on it.
Yeah, I think so.
Fair. I mean, that would add up as well, because I'm much pickier with what I watch than you.
And I'm just easily entertained.
Yeah. Not entertained!
Yeah. So to end on Gladiator.
No, but I think that is interesting. Like, how would you guys think? Because I mean, that's why I don't enjoy Netflix movies.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're not engaging enough for me.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's also why I like to talk about the action films, because if a plot is silly, the writing's bad, whatever, a lot of the time it can be redeemed by good, strong action scenes. Like Into the Badlands, which is hilariously bad. And I remember when we watched that, I warned you going into it. I was like, look, the plot is bonkers, the dialogue is cheesy, but they are there to get you from one fight to the next, and the choreography is exceptional. It's some of the best Western fight scenes I've ever seen. So it's on Prime, worth checking out, especially the first couple episodes are like fire. But with that mindset going in, that's fine. And when the fights start to degrade towards season 3, I'm like,
I have to say that changes everything. Like, just the mindset that you go in watching a film changes
I watched that. No, I didn't know what it was. Like, I just got given it by a friend. Like, literally.
That's actually brilliant.
And I was like, watching it, I was like, cool, I can remove myself from whatever is going on in the plot enough to actually enjoy.
Oh, absolutely. Because I remember I was in London going to see 9 to 5 the musical.
Okay.
And like the first half was, it was pretty hard, because it was like smack bang right in your face feminism, where I'm like, this is so in my face that I'm like I can feel myself being like, yikes, which is not good. But then the second half, like during the intermission, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna not care about the story and what its mission is and what it's trying to like do and convey and stuff. But I'm just gonna be there for the entertainment of the songs and the show and the choreographies and stuff. And the second half was so much better.
Oh no.
But I don't know. It's quite interesting to also maybe just do that as a thought experiment of like if you go and watch the films that we talk about today that you might not have seen, just like be aware of the mindset that you go and watching them. Like what are you expecting out of the film? And
I think that is another thing actually, talking about like, so I hate when stuff's ham-fisted. You know, where it's like, be it feminism or, I mean, American Sniper, where it's like patriotism. You're like, oh no, the film's anti-war. You're like, really? But to talk about our favorite historical epic one final time.
Yes.
I think the Muslim-Christian dynamics, modern day application, is absent from Kingdom of Heaven. It's only at the end of the film where you kind of go, huh. Like, all these little kind of sprinkles that are in there actually apply to us in the real world, modern day, very much so. And it makes sense because of when the film was made, so right after 9/11. But it's
brilliant in that way.
It's a historical conflict that actually applies to the real world, but it's not sitting there going, look at this conflict, it applies to you today. Like, it's like, we're just going to tell a story, and if you figure out what we're actually talking about, great. And if you take it as a historical epic, great.
You can completely miss the parallel between that film and what was going on in contemporary.
But it does have something to say, which I think adds to it once more. But I think it's only fitting that our epic historical talk went on a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Because it's epic.
No, and I think it's good to have
some good
discussions here.
Yeah, for sure. Let us know what you think. Are you in necessary need for character development and strong, realistic characters?
Do you need more from a film?
Yeah, do you have a higher quality requirement?
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Or are you easily entertained and can enjoy a film for what it is rather than looking for how to make it better, essentially?
Yeah, that's fair.
Not putting words in your mouth.
No.
Let us know down below. I just wanted to check.
No,
Jerry's very easy entertained.
He's
easier than anything. He just sits and watches Peppa Pig all day.
Yeah. Or just stares out the window.
Yeah. No, but I think it definitely applies to everything. Like, I laugh less than you. For sure. Like, in comedy, I need very well written comedy. Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we'll call it a day here.
Exactly.
I'll get this rendered. The PC seems to be working. Fingers crossed this goes up on the 11th is the plan.
Yeah.
If it's late, you'll know now.
Yeah.
This stuff is broken. But I think we're still managing to get a video out a day.
Yes.
So yeah, enjoy the epic films we've recommended. I would definitely check out Samurai Marathon, Kingdom of Heaven. If you've not seen Troy, it's worth watching.
Yeah.
And you can maybe give Arn a miss.
If you want to.
And I know we've crapped on it a lot, actually, but Gladiator is worth watching.
Yeah.
The first time, for sure, I don't think it's a go back to rewatch them all the time. And 300 is all around good fun.
Yes, good fun.
Right. On that note, bye!